Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are excited to be here with you and with Bruce and Dennis from Neopor and BASF. We've got a really exciting presentation for you today because you're going to want to learn about why you are going to want their low carbon materials in your projects and libraries, and we're going to show you how easy it is to add them. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the context for today's webinar and the process. So the webinar is being recorded. You will get a link to the recording probably tomorrow in a follow-up email. We welcome questions. Please put those in the chat panel. We can answer them along the way. In the background, Raphael, who's here with me from Sustainable Minds, our head of customer success, is fielding those. We'll work in questions at the end if we have time, but any questions that you ask that we are not able to field live on the call, we will channel to the right representative to get back to you. We also have a little exit questionnaire. We'd love for you to leave your thoughts in as you go. And also, if you're interested in having someone from Neopor or BASF, Neopor follow up with you, you're able to request that there and then. So we're all here because we're really interested in decarbonization. These two manufacturers are deep into it, and they're going to talk to you about how they're doing and what they're doing. And then I'm going to show you how we have added this new capability to the Transparency Catalog, Project Builder, and Library, which is really the natural extension of the catalog that will allow organizations of all types, construction companies, real estate owners, architecture firms, to build your internal knowledge base of preferred materials and products, as well as build projects and project templates so that you can use and reuse knowledge as you learn and create preferences. So the agenda for today is I'm going to set the stage. For those of you who haven't met Sustainable Minds before, I'll tell you a little bit about us, a little bit about the Transparency Catalog. We'll turn things over to Dennis, followed by Bruce, and then I'll do a quick demo to show you Project Builder Library. We'll take some questions, and then we'll be on our merry way. So, for those of you new to Sustainable Minds, we are the only end-to-end product transparency solutions provider for building product manufacturers today. We are a program operator. We convene PCR committees and write PCRs. We deliver LCA and material ingredient disclosure services. We publish EPDs. And very importantly, our perspective is that all of those activities are in service of manufacturers marketing their products, because environmental performance and material health are performance attributes that people are using to make decisions about products. So the Transparency Catalog is really the goal, the place where all of this content lives, so that the industry can find those actually higher performing products with brands they prefer, from brands they prefer, to get them into projects and libraries. And I always like to kind of level set at the beginning to put a finer point on that product transparency is all about product performance. And environmental performance and material health are performance attributes. And people from manufacturing organizations who you talk to about their products need to be as knowledgeable about environmental performance and material health as they are about all the other performance criteria that they need to educate you on to be able to select their products. And so an indication of a manufacturer really making higher performing products is that the people in their company can speak to that and eloquently about what they're actually doing to improve their products. And you're going to hear that today in spades. So this just shows you kind of our end-to-end solution, program operator, and transparency catalog. So what's in the Transparency Catalog? Again, to level set, over 2,000, almost 2,200 manufacturers and industry organizations who have invested in product transparency, either in producing EPDs and or material ingredient disclosures across 28 master format divisions, over 1,300 sections, it's unlikely that there is any kind of building or construction project today where you would not be able to find a manufacturer in any of the master format sections without an EPD or a material disclosure for your project. We have a fantastic data team. We are constantly pulling in data from all the North American program operators. We organize the EPDs so that you can select by type, product specific, industry average, optimized. You're going to see today, we're going to put some focus on the ability to also select products with EPDs by carbon intensity. So you can select type and intensity. We also have APIs from the leading material ingredient disclosure programs. We've recently released some pretty powerful filtering where now you can also select products with material ingredient disclosures by result. So if you just want products with red list free declare labels, that's a single click, and you'll see that Neopor has red list free declare labels. We also have introduced new filters for manufacturers who have HPDs. Again, now you're able to screen by HPD results and find products with HPDs that are red list free, because now HPDs screen against the red list. And you'll see that BASF has HPDs to show that their products are red list free. So these two manufacturers really are making fantastic products. We've been excited to see the leading design and construction companies who care the most about high performance building use the catalog just for these reasons, because they can find those very specific materials at those performance thresholds. A little bit about how we do that embodied carbon filtering. We've had a long-standing partnership with the folks at Building Transparency. In fact, we built this API with them when they were just in alpha to make their data, which is pretty sophisticated, to make it understandable by regular people. Because at the end of the day, people are just interested in how carbon intensive is that material, and is it better or worse than something else, and how much better or worse is it than anything else. And so what we've done is taken the comparative results in EC3 and turned them into quintiles. I mean, we literally like sliced up this comparative range. This is the industry range that they calculate, and show you in the interface, the little visual icon here, the relative carbon intensity of that material in that product category. So you don't have to go to EC3 to compare materials. You can actually see that right in the interface when you're evaluating materials. But also, if you are filtering and searching and you only want to look at materials that meet certain thresholds, because we have that data, there's this handy little filter here that allows people to say, look, before I even select a brand, maybe even a product type, I only want to see products that are in the lowest 20th, maybe 40th percentile, so I have enough choices. And that is a click to just select, to filter down to those select products. You'll see here, if you've gone to visit either Neopor or BASF in the catalog, you can see very quickly all the products that they have, and you can see products that are in the 20th percentile, 40th percentile, red list free. BASF, not only do they have products in the 20th percentile, they have so many kinds of material disclosures. They have red list letters, they've got HPDs, they've got manufacturers' inventories. And later in the demo, I'll show you that their coatings products, which is kind of this last section of their listing, are so free of hazardous ingredients. They have screened to be free of hazardous ingredients on the 3 most stringent lists as demonstrated in their HPDs. So they're free of chemicals on the ILFI red list, the cradle to cradle hazardous ingredients list, and also the Perkins and Will precautionary list, which means for any product, and in addition to just to an industrial coating product, that is a pretty low risk material. So with all that, now we've added Project Builder to the transparency catalog to provide this collaborative workflow environment to make it possible for all project teams, whether they're knowledgeable about choosing low carbon materials or healthy materials. We've made it really simple for all people on all project teams to make better informed decisions based on accurate data. So it's kind of the natural evolution of the transparency catalog. We've been designing this for years, working with hundreds of architects, certainly manufacturers, contractors, to understand the workflows, starting from early stage design to specification, to pre-construction, to submittal and installation, to make sure that everyone can have access to the actual products that meet the design intent and also meet the performance criteria, the environmental performance and material health criteria that the architects, the owners want in their buildings. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis. And Dennis, tell us about how you make steel at Nucor.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, first off, I just jumped ahead a slide. Let me go back. So first off, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Raphael. Thank you, Sustainable Minds, for allowing us to participate in this webinar. Really excited to share a little bit about what we're doing as a company with our steel and steel products and how they can be implemented in your projects to help you meet your sustainability goals, help you just have a more efficient and optimized structure in general. Really excited to be here. Thank you all for everybody who's joined live. And if you're watching this in a webinar, thank you for that as well. And, you know, this is just going to be a 15 to 20 minute snapshot. If there's ever any other questions that you have, or if you want me or someone on my team to meet with you, to talk about your project, to do a presentation more in depth into how steel is made and the sustainability story that we have, please reach out. There's my email, there's my phone number. Please reach out. Happy to help. So my name is Dennis Pilarczyk. I'm the department manager for Nucor's Construction Solutions team. It's a relatively new team within Nucor. And we are, my job is to work with the specification community, the owners, developers, contractors, architects, engineers, to help you all perform better on your projects by utilizing sustainably produced steel. So let me dive right into the content. Hopefully this moves through. There we go. All right, so who is Nucor? Why are we here? So we are the largest steel producer in North America. We're the most sustainable steel producer in North America as well, which is what we're going to hit on quite a bit during the process of this next 15 minutes or so. But we have 26 steel mills currently, all right here in the United States. There's more that are being built or going to be built in the near future. So it's 26 steel mills and counting. Really robust amounts of steel that's actually being produced right here on US soil. We also have over 300 facilities across North America. They're kind of represented in a lot of those dots that you see there on the right side in that map. Those would be inclusive of our mills, but then would also be some of our downstream products, the production facilities for those products, as well as some of our sales offices that are across North America. And then overall, we have over 32,000 teammates that are working safely in all of those facilities. But I touched on us being the most sustainable steel producer in North America. We are the largest recycler in the Western Hemisphere as well. So all of our steel utilizes electric arc furnace technology to produce steel. To touch on what that means really briefly, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a moment. We utilize scrap steel as our feedstock, so recycling old steel that's recovered from a decommissioned building, or old cars, or your old toaster, or water heaters. We're using electricity as that heat source to melt down that steel and turn it into new steel for buildings or cars or toasters and water heaters. So it's an infinitely recyclable material. So we are really excited about our sustainability story and how you can implement it on your project. But to just kind of illustrate that, back in 2022, we produced around 25.5 million tons of steel And in order to produce that, we utilize 20 million tons of scrap that was recycled to make that steel. So it's extremely high amounts of recycled material that we have in our products. So just to quickly talk about the two different ways to make steel, if you were to close your eyes and just visualize how steel is made, you probably would have a vision like you see in one of those top two photos there on the screen right now. That is how your grandfather's steel was made in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and other parts of the world back in the early 19th century, 1900s. But then it's also how steel is still being made across the world, and even still here domestically. That's utilizing basic oxygen furnace technology, or BOF technology. That's a very extractive process, mining raw materials, utilizing fossil fuels as a heat source to melt down and create steel. Conversely, if you look at the bottom of the screen, those are all Neopor steel mills that are utilizing the electric arc furnace technology. So you can see these are all under operation when these photos are being taken. There's you don't have the smokestacks. You can see there's communities in the background, cities in the background, farmland. But this is utilizing electricity to melt down that scrap steel. So of course, with this, there's a high amount of electricity that is being used. So depending on which grid that we're on, that can influence what our global warming potential values are that show up in EPDs. And there are things that we're working with the energy providers, as well as some alternative technologies that we're looking at to lean on renewable energy to help drive down those values even more, while finding optimization opportunities in our steelmaking processes themselves. So to just do a side-by-side, BOF versus EAF, we also just call this extractive or circular steel. For the BOF steel, the basic oxygen furnace, your primary inputs are going to be coal, iron, limestone. Really those are the primary elements that are being used to make steel. There's a little bit of recycled content there, depending on the material that's being made. It can be upwards of 30% recycled content, but by and large, you're primarily going to be using materials that are being mined out of the earth. So globally, about 70% of all steel that's made utilizes BOF technology. When you flip to domestic production, about 30% of all domestic production is utilizing BOF technology. And then when you look at the energy and man hours, it is a very energy and labor intensive process to make steel this way. But that bottom number, that's kind of the biggest one to talk about. So globally, when you're steel makers that utilize BOF technology, for every ton of steel that's produced, around 2.32 tons of greenhouse gases are produced. So it's a very greenhouse gas carbon intensive process to make steel utilizing this method. When you flip over to EAF technology, the circular steel, again, recycled content is going to be high, very high, upwards of 99% or more, because their recycled steel is going to be that primary feedstock. So looking at the numbers, you just do the quick math, the global share of circular steel is about 30%. Domestically, it's around 70%, less energy and labor intensive than BOF, but that number on the bottom again, so that's the global average for EAF steelmaking is 0.68 tons of greenhouse gases are produced for every ton of steel. So you can see there, just looking at those two numbers, why it matters where your steel comes from. And there are ways that you can make sure that this that you're getting this steel, whether it's in the specification writing that you have, or requiring EPDs to be provided, or specifying GWP limits on your projects. There's a robust steel supply, especially here domestically, that are utilizing EAF technology. So just making simple, intentional procurement decisions can have a measurable impact on the sustainability story for your project. And it's really not disrupting the supply chain at all. It's just looking at how, where material is coming from and just being intentional about it. So to take those numbers, what do those mean exactly? I'm a structural engineer, so I need to have more of a visual. And what does this mean? So at the end of the day, if everybody made steel the way we make steel at Neopor, that would eliminate more than 2 billion tons of greenhouse gases every year, which is the equivalent to grounding the entire global airline industry twice. So it is a pretty measurable impact that the steel industry can have. And again, just making those thoughtful, intentional decisions can make quite an impact on your company's goals, your clients' goals, and your project's goals. So where do we get this information? If we're all here, I think we're probably all familiar with what EPDs are. We have a great listing that we've actually, thank you, Raphael and Terry. We've been working really hard to update our page within the Sustainable Mines Transparency Catalog. So all of our EPD information should be on there now. It's updated. It's all the links are working perfectly. So very happy about that. So please visit our page. Check out all the EPDs that we have, or come to neopor.com and check out all of our EPDs. But if, going back 5 years ago, if you needed an EPD for steel, you probably were just going to be finding the industry average numbers, whether it's AISC or Steel Joist Institute or Steel Deck Institute or one of the other industry organizations. Those are average numbers, right? And so we understand that because we've got such a great sustainability story at Nucor, we're still providing information to those industry-wide numbers, but we also want to provide more transparent information for our values themselves. And so we've started to produce product-specific EPDs, which within those product-specific EPDs, we also break it down by the facilities and what the global warming potential values are for those facilities. So you can really fine-tune what your whole building LCA is going to look like, either on the front end or doing a post-mortem at the end of a project, once you know where the steel was being procured from. And the familiar analogy of a EPD is similar to a nutrition label that you would have for cereal or some other product. That's basically what you're finding in an EPD as well. So to show kind of where we are as a company, and we're really excited about this because we believe in our sustainability story. We really feel like we haven't told our sustainability story good enough, and that's why we are investing a lot of time and effort in a full team to increase just not only our EPDs that we have, but just getting out there and doing webinars like this, or working with owners and specifiers to make sure that they understand what's available in the market. So to illustrate this, January 1st, 2021, not that long ago, less than 4 years ago, Nucor had one EPD for one product covering one facility. By the end of this year, we'll have around 30 EPDs covering over 10 products and over 60 facilities. So if you're familiar with the EPD process, it's a lot of data that needs to be compiled. Especially when we're creating new EPDs that maybe there's not a template for how they are being made, for products such as pre-engineered metal buildings or insulated metal panels. These are difficult things for us to pull together, but it's very important for us. And so we are putting the time and effort into increasing the number of EPDs that we have. And this is just going to continue to grow over time. This is the perfect illustration. This was hot off the press just within the last couple of months. We've released new EPDs that have been updated for hollow structural sections, HSS, tubular products. And you can see here, through improvements that we've made through vertical integration of our foundational products, of our sheet products, we're able to actually capture all of the steel that we're making to produce HSS. And now all 5 Nucor facilities are the 5 lowest GWP numbers that are available for products that have EPDs domestically. So you can see our competitors are in gray, industry average is in blue. So again, this is just an illustration of where we are as a company and how we're continuing to push ourselves to do better. So when you're talking about steel, if you think about just, Nucor, what kind of steel do we make? You're probably thinking of wide flange beams or rebar or something like that. Through a lot of our acquisitions that we've made recently, we can supply those products and more. So pre-engineered metal buildings, overhead doors, insulated metal panels, on top of your more traditional elements like steel, wide flange beams or steel plates or rebar or joist and deck. So if you have a project, we would love to work with you to identify all of the opportunities that you have to drive down your global warming potential by utilizing sustainably produced steel. So let's just step through really quickly what our kind of our vertical integration story and the steel that we make. So these are really the 4 foundational steel mill types that we have at Nucor. So sheet steel, plate, beam, and bar. So when I say foundational, sheet steel, the coil that you see there on the left, we would make sheet steel that can go into automotive products and applications, white good applications, but then also would be used for downstream products on the construction side, such as the hollow structural sections, the skin for insulated metal panels, the steel that's used for metal decking through our Volcraft and Verco teams. So it's kind of that foundational element that goes into downstream products. And the same goes for plate, beam, and bar. So to step through what those mean exactly, so you can see here, and I'll just kind of illustrate if we have EPDs available or where we are in the production process for them. So Volcraft, Verco, those are Nucor companies for joist girders, decking, grating. We do have EPDs available there. Just illustrated tubular products a moment ago. We do have EPDs available there. Wide flange, we have the largest size range of wide flange products available domestically, including higher strength steel that can be utilized for applications like trusses or columns to help reduce the amount of actual tons that are needed to support the same amount of load. And so if you're utilizing a product that can remove tons just based on its strength properties, that is eliminating not only the tonnage and the weight that you have, it eliminates some of the cost and also the GWP that would be associated with those tons. Going into plates, we have EPDs available for plates, for bar, angle, and channel. And then if you're familiar with Harris Rebar, it is now, that's a Nucor company. It's now referred to as Nucor Rebar Fabrication, but that is another component of Nucor's product offering, and we do have EPDs available there. Pre-engineered metal buildings, so ABC, Kirby Building Systems, CBC, and Nucor Building Systems, those are the 4 pre-engineered metal building brands that are under the Nucor umbrella. We have EPDs that are going to be produced later this year. We're very excited about that. Those will be the first EPDs that we've produced for those brands. We also are producing EPDs for our Nucor Skyline Foundation products, for fasteners, for nuts and bolts, and that product line as well. And then finally, our racking systems, very excited about this. This is a relatively newer addition to the Nucor family. So for your distribution centers, for your data centers, your hot aisle containment, your cabinets, your just racks that you might need for storing different products, those are all under the Nucor umbrella now as well. So happy to talk to you about that. We're working on EPDs there. We're working on updating our EPDs for insulated metal panels, such as Metal Span and Centria, which are Nucor products, and then overhead and high performance doors through CHI and Rytec. So we also get a lot of questions about how do I write the specification language so that we can actually utilize this information and make sure that we're getting these products into our projects. And so we wrote a specification writing guide. You can scan the QR code there, or you can go to our website and download this guide. We're in the process of updating it now to add more products to it. But this gives you just some sample language if you want to require EPDs, if you want to set GWP thresholds, recycled content thresholds. It's really meant for the specification community, and it's there as a resource for you. To talk through where my team comes in and how we can work together. Recently, there was a distribution center in the Midwest. It's a multi-story distribution center, rooftop parking, very heavy structure. We worked with the structural engineering team to try to optimize the framing on it. This particular engineering firm, they were planning to do an LCA, a whole building LCA in this project. So we utilized our high strength steel that are referred to earlier, wide flange products that we have branded under the name AOS. Through utilizing AOS, we found about a little bit over 1,100 tons could be used on this project. That saved 165 tons of steel on the job and totaled a savings of 183 kilograms of CO2. So just by making more thoughtful design decisions, working hand in hand with the material supplier, we're able to find these really great reduction capabilities for this project. So just to hammer that home a little bit more, we work together on project studies. We're seeing a sample high-rise building here, but we can look at hospitals or data centers or semiconductor facilities, whatever you're really working on. We can look at different bay configurations. We can look at different materials. My team's a bunch of structural engineers, so we kind of are able to wear that hat while leveraging the products that we make at Neopor. And you can see here, this is just a sample study where we compared post-tension concrete to structural steel. You can see the reductions that we found, and then taking it a step further and saying if all of the steel was produced by Neopor, this is where your further reductions would go. So you can see just by working together, call me. I got my email there, I got my phone number, send me a text, send me an email. You'll get me. Let's work together, figure out a way that we can really push the limits on what you're trying to achieve on your project. And then on the procurement side, since we are a steel producer, working early, we can get some of that visibility to when you need your material to be delivered and understand what our rolling schedules look like, what products are being produced domestically, what might need to be imported. You're just kind of trying to make those early decisions so that you're more informed when you're either working on just your typical project or ones that have sustainability goals. We're going to get you there regardless because our product is just sustainable the way we make it across the board, whether you're intending it to be or not. And then finally, we have established goals. So we're the first steel maker in North America with net zero science-based greenhouse gas targets for 2050. That includes scopes 1, 2, and 3. You can read here. I'm not going to read through this of what we're doing, but lots of exciting things that we've got going on, whether that's renewable energy or looking at things like carbon capture, carbon sequestration, things like nuclear fission, nuclear fusion to provide energy to produce our steel that is maybe pulling ourselves off of the grid a little bit or complementing some of the electricity that we're getting off of the grid. So with that, I covered a lot of information. Thank you all. Reach out if you ever have any questions. Happy to be here. I am a resource for you. So thanks again. I'll turn it back over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Dennis. That was really, really interesting. And this is the second time I've seen you give that presentation. There's so much information there, and you guys are really doing great work. I couldn't think of a more interesting follow-on to that presentation. So over to you, Bruce, to tell us about BASF and Neopor.
Great. Yep. Thanks, Terry, for the introduction there. And it's as well as the opportunity to speak today about a product that we're really proud of here at BASF Neopor, which is really a sustainable leader in the insulation market. And it's also a pleasure to co-present here with Dennis from Nucor and really speak about low carbon construction materials and how companies like Nucor, which you just heard about, and BASF are really leading the way in providing transparent and science-based solutions to the building construction market sector. So have a lot to cover here, so let's jump right in. The focus, as you see here, of my presentation will be on our industry-leading Neopor insulation system and how Neopor is really enabling architects, specifiers, and building owners to decarbonize the built environment. So a little bit of introduction on myself here. I've been working for BASF for over 29 years. I currently lead our North American Applied Sustainability team. I'm a chemical engineering graduate from Villanova University and have worked in engineering operations and currently reside in our environmental health and safety group. I'm a certified life cycle assessment practitioner, a certified life cycle executive through the American Center for Life Cycle Assessment. And I've always had a passion and interest in sustainability and generally have an optimistic look on life. And I really try to focus my efforts in using life cycle assessment as a strategic tool to support innovating more sustainable products and solutions that do good for the environment, for society as well, but really focus on solving our customer sustainability challenges. I also like to connect my fellow employees' activities and decisions to sustainability and help them understand how they can, and even in their small way, support positive change. So a little bit of information here on BASF. We are the world's largest chemical company with over 110,000 really dedicated and passionate employees. We had sales last year of around 69 billion euros. We're present in over 93 countries, and we provide sustainable solutions focused on those regions and those markets where we operate. But more specifically, we're really focused on our customer needs and really these immense sustainability challenges we face as a society, whether it's climate change or resource scarcity. Now, we've grouped all of our 11 operating divisions really into 6 segments, which really help us to steer our business closest to our markets and our specific requirements of our customers. Now, we're a key player in many industries such as automotive, construction, electronics, and the agricultural industries. We've been around since 1865, so we're quite a sustainable company. And at the core of what we do is around our Verbund manufacturing sites. And at these sites, our production plants, energy flows, material flows, logistics are really highly integrated, leading us to have efficiencies in energy and resource consumptions. And really those benefits are what we can pass along to our customers, and they're really embedded into our solutions. So sustainability, as I mentioned, has always been a strategic pillar and a key area of focus for BASF. Its importance is really as critical today as it was when we were founded. And you can see here in our new corporate strategy, our ambition is to be the preferred chemical company to enable our customers' green transformation. We want to inspire our customers to make us their partner of choice and to be their trusted partner in helping them meet their sustainability targets, goals, and challenges. Now, our products and processes like Neopor, which I'll be talking about today, really allow our customers to innovate and transform their business models towards lower CO2 and greater circularity. So our ambition really is to go beyond just making BASF green or sustainable, but we also want to enable our customers to transform themselves into greater sustainability and become green themselves. So as we progress in this transformation and really make progress in achieving our aggressive climate change targets, which you see here, we really want to pass those savings on to our customers. So as we reach our net zero 2050 goal and decarbonize, that benefit goes directly into our solutions and to our customers. And Neopor is a great example of this, which I'll highlight today, how a very low PCF, near zero PCF, is really enabling our customers to meet their net zero targets. So as you can see in this graphic, the built environment accounts for about 40% of the total energy used in the US and over 35% of the nation's greenhouse gas emissions. Now, the LEED certification program of the US GBC has been a driving force helping us improve the sustainability of our buildings. This has historically mostly been focused on how we have reduced the operational carbon intensity of our buildings through energy efficiency efforts. And both of our Neopor solutions, as you see here, have been aligned to that purpose. But today, the focus is really driving on carbon efficiency in the construction and the construction materials. This is really the embodied carbon. And our Neopor biomass balance solution really has a near zero PCF raw material. And so it's really an ideal solution to drive down the embodied carbons of the built environment. So let's take a step back and learn a little bit more about Neopor and our Neopor biomass balance sustainability journey and how this solution is really leading the way in transparency and low product carbon footprints in the insulation market. So let's have a quick crash course on insulation and Neopor. Now, historically, foams have relied on higher densities or blowing agents to improve thermal resistance. But the secret with Neopor is that it relies on graphite and air. The graphite in the insulation metrics reflects radiant heat like a mirror, and thus allows Neopor to achieve a 25% higher thermal performance reflected in an R value. And this is really enabling us then to use about 30% less raw material. Now, the other technical advantages that you see with Neopor in the built environment is also water management. It's adaptable to a lot of climate zones. It has a very high and stable R value, is cost efficient, and delivers sustainability benefits such as low PCF and also the Green Guard Gold certification for low VOC materials. Now, as you can see from this graphic, Neopor is very versatile insulation board and has numerous applications both in the residential and commercial construction areas, as well as in specialty areas such as packaging. Neopor is a globally supported technology with numerous local manufacturing and converter locations throughout North America. And one of those locations is probably not too far from where you are now in the audience. Now, the Neopor biomass balance sustainability benefits really extend across the entire value chain. For BASF up front, we benefit from being able to substitute fossil resources with waste biomass and generate solutions for our customers that are ultimately recyclable, but also ones with a near zero PCF. Now, our customers, the converters, they get a near drop-in solution that doesn't require any changes to their process, and it delivers the same technical performance that they expect, but they get a significant reduction in their Scope 3 emissions as communicated in their environmental product declarations. Similarly, our system suppliers can enhance their brand and differentiate themselves in the marketplace by specifying a leading insulation material. And craftsmen benefit by basically being able to use the same material they're accustomed to. And finally, building owners, architects, specifiers, they benefit from being able to specify a more sustainable material in their buildings whose benefits are transparently communicated, whether it be in an environmental product declaration, a health product declaration, or an eco label. And this helps them potentially qualify for sustainability certifications for their building. Now let's dive a little bit deeper and learn a little bit more about Neopor biomass balance. Our biomass balance approach is a chain of custody model that allows substitution of traditional fossil-based materials with renewable raw materials at the very beginning of the manufacturing process in our Verbund facilities. This is shown here in the graphic in steps 1 and 2. A third-party certification body such as RedCert provides a certification for this chain of custody of that renewable feedstock that is used and the amount of fossil material that has been substituted for and avoided. Now, aligned with this certification, the product carbon footprint calculation can be done and provided to our customers, or an EPD can be developed as well, both showing the benefits of how this biogenic carbon that has been used upstream in the Neopor manufacturing process is supporting our customers' CO2 reduction targets. Now, as you can see in this graphic here, being able to integrate circular feedstocks into your operations is really critical to assist in decarbonizing your product solutions. Neopor is able to benefit from our highly integrated manufacturing structure by adapting to various unique feedstocks, whether it be reintegrating Neopor back into our own manufacturing through mechanical recycling, or by enabling the recycling of hard to recycled mixed plastic waste into our supply chain through the use of chemcycling or advanced recycling and using pyrolysis oil. Or for our discussion here, relative to Neopor BMB, we can use waste biomass in the form of biomethane and use that in place of that fossil raw material. Now, all of these methods are really delivering unique sustainability benefits for ourselves, our product, but also for our customers who are downstream. Now, integrating this mechanical recycled materials or biomass into our manufacturing process really adds a lot of complexity when you're calculating life cycle assessments or product carbon footprints of our solutions. But BASF has really been a leader as well in this area in developing a proprietary digital tool that enables us to transparently and with conformance to the ISO guidelines and the Together for Sustainability guideline for product carbon footprint, calculate the product carbon footprints of all 45,000 of our solutions, including Neopor and Neopor BMB. Now, this tool enables us not to only be transparent and robust, but it really enables us to understand what are the key drivers of our greenhouse gas emissions in our manufacturing footprint or in the raw materials that we're purchasing. So enhanced transparency and ability to innovate and reduce those carbon intensities going forward into the future. So for this section, I'd like to lead off with a quote I saw at the LCA conference a few weeks back. And it was a quote from Sir Mark Walport, who was the chief scientific advisor for the UK government. And he said, "Science isn't finished until it's communicated. And just as importantly, science isn't finished until it's understood." So effective communication is really critical to make our product information and messaging relatable, meaningful, and useful for our stakeholders who we're talking to. You need to really be able to communicate in the language and format that your audience really best understands. So this is why we developed the Neopor storybook. So now there are many stakeholders for the Neopor sustainability value proposition, so we needed to be flexible and adapt this story to our stakeholders' specific needs. Our first step was probably the most complex. It was really an intense collaborative effort with our supply chain to develop our first environmental product declaration so our customers could qualify for the lead points for EPDs. But unfortunately, as a piece of marketing collateral, the 16 pages of our EPD is often quite overwhelming with a lot of information. It's an essential first step, but it's a very complicated document. So the EPD was great for checking the initial box, but really for selling our value proposition to non-LCA experts and really keeping with that KISS principle of keeping it simple, we made an abbreviated Cliff Notes or a single one-pager of our EPD, which summarized all the key information such as the product carbon footprint. Now, an EPD is a static snapshot in time, and that basis of calculation of a functional unit of a 1 square meter of an insulation system with an RSI value and a durability of 75 years, that may be helpful for an LCA practitioner, but it's really not helpful for our customers who want to know how much of a positive impact Neopor or Neopor biomass balance will have on their project. So to make this data contained in this EPD adaptive and dynamic to this customer need, we created a calculator tool where we could show absolute CO2 savings and tangible equivalencies that Neopor or Neopor BMB could deliver to our customers for their actual projects that they were bidding on. Now, we complemented and expanded the value proposition and enhanced transparency with our health product declaration, and Terry, you highlighted earlier where those could be found on your website in your transparency catalog. Now, by having an EPD, we are also able to go digital and tell our story in the preferred tool, which you also covered, the EC3 tool, the Embodied Carbon and Construction Calculator. And without having our EPD, we would not have been able to get our product listed in this tool and be able to show Neopor or Neopor BMB's very low PCF having a competitive advantage against the other comparable insulation systems. And finally, you also need to be out there verbally communicating your sustainability value proposition, kind of like an audio book. Forums like today are really great. A colleague of mine, Justin DeMarco, participated in a similar webinar a few years ago. And just like this one, we were able to really educate our customer base on Neopor's sustainability benefits. Now, of course, where would we be without a sequel? We just last year updated our LCAs for our portfolio of Neopor and Neopor BMB solutions. So they will be coming out soon, and we will also be subsequently updating our savings tool as well. So overall, Neopor developed a varied and adaptive communication approach depending on the audience, but our message was always grounded on transparency and science. Now, this is a really nice graphic that shows the benefits of Neopor biomass balance compared to our traditional fossil-based Neopor, which, by the way, already has a low PCF for a thermal insulation system. For BASF, we can practically reduce our embodied carbon emissions by 100% for the base resin, and this translates and leads to our customers being able to achieve a potential reduction in their insulation board by about 90%. So here's a snapshot of our two EPDs for Neopor and Neopor BMB. Now, EPDs, as I said, have a lot of data, and it's not always easy to find. what you are looking for. And sometimes the automated EPD scanning systems out there don't pick up on all the details. But this table here shows the biogenic carbon removal benefit for Neopor biomass balance of about 1.43 kilograms of CO2, which is really quite significant when you consider that the starting greenhouse gas emissions for the Neopor is already lower than 2. So in addition to these certified EPDs, specifiers and architects can also get a Red Cert 2 chain of custody certification when specifying our Neopor biomass balance on a project. And this certification document really shows the inspection for a specific project that the correct amount of fossil feedstocks have been substituted with sustainable biomass. So very important transparency and certification document. So we've covered a lot of information. We have provided here in the links some additional information if you're interested in getting more information on our biomass balance approach or on our Neopor technology or for our Neopor biomass balance. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak here today about our Neopor solution, and I'll turn it back to you for our question and answers.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. These were two such informative and interesting presentations. We will include the links to the additional resources in the follow-up email, because there was a question about where could somebody learn about your mass balance, your biomass balance methodology. So that person will send you the link so you can read about that. Before we go to just a couple questions, but I did promise people to show you how easy it is, if you like these products or other low carbon products, how easy it is to add those products to projects that you can be building in our new Project Builder Library capability. So I'm showing you in the transparency catalog, this is the BASF listing. Here's the Nucor listing. You can see all of the products that they have. These link to the pages on their website. You can see the carbon intensity. You can see the material ingredient disclosure. Here on BASF, I mentioned that due to the way they make their products, you can see that there's really no hazardous chemicals in these performance coatings, which really is practically unheard of. So I want to go over here and show you Project Builder Library. So I've logged into my log into my Project Builder Library account, and I'm going to go over here to the project I already set up to show this demonstration. And in fact, what I'm going to do is filter by date created, so I can find the one that I'm looking for. So here it is, construction materials, EC3 20th percentile. So you can see I already have added thermal protection and metals to the project. And the way I did that, and so you can see here's BASF Neopor's products. That's going to link to the product page on their website. This is going to remind me of the EPDs and HPDs and other disclosures that I selected the product for. Those link directly to those certificates. You can put in a description. You can identify if it's going to be the base of design, yes, no, or maybe. Are substitutions going to be allowed, yes, no, or maybe. And you can even favorite these products to add them to your organization's favorite products library for use and reuse. And we've done the same thing here with Nucor. We've added the Nucor products. And the way you add products to a project is you literally just go add products from the transparency catalog. It's going to pull up the same selector. If you use the catalog, you can recognize this selector. You're going to select the attributes, master format sections, brand name. Maybe I was specifically looking for Nucor products in 0530 metal decking. I can select them and just go ahead and add them to my project. And now they will be in the right master format section in my project. which is reusable. Later, I can turn this into a template or import my preferred construction materials that I've already previewed or my team has previewed that are 20th percentile. Now I can add all these products to an actual building project where I'm looking for the highest performing construction materials. You also are able to get as much help as you need in the context of a project. So we build a product list for every manufacturer who's been added to the project. You're going to still be able to get back to the manufacturer's listing. You can contact them in the context of a project when they really want to hear from you to get sample spec, quote, and submittal help. We link you to resources on the site. You can send in a form. And we encourage any of you who are interested in learning more about using Project Builder and Library in your organization. You can leave a message on your way out, or you may already have indicated that you have that kind of need. So in the last minute or so, there were two questions that came in that I think could be answered quickly and satisfy a couple of needs. And one is, sorry, looking in the wrong place. To you, Dennis, for the pre-engineered metal buildings, how are your 2024 coming soon EPDs getting calculated? Are they the entire building or just the frame?
That's a great question. Yeah, so it is all of the components that we would be producing that would go into it. So the frame, as well as you know, the more other elements that might be going into it, you know, the connectors and that sort of thing. So we're yeah, we're excited about this because it's difficult to put together one of these EPDs, just because it's not quite as straightforward as a you know, an individual product. So yes, it is going to primarily be the frame because that's what we're producing. But if there's any other elements that are also within our scope, then we'll include that as well.
And then over to you, Bruce. I think this is kind of a softball question, but it's worth reinforcing. Do installers need any special safety equipment to install Neopor insulation boards?
I don't think really much. I mean, obviously, you know, we have probably the correct personal protective equipment to wear when you're installing it, but no, I think handling is very easy. It's not a fibrous material like others, so there's no fibers or itching. And then I know one benefit for the exterior finish systems, EIFS, there's no glare issues in the installation process. So overall, no, handling is very easy for installers.
Well, there were a couple other questions, but we will get those over to you after the webinar is over. We're at our time, and I really want to thank both of you, Dennis and Bruce, for working to put these really excellent presentations together. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody else did too. And I want to thank everyone for attending, and watch for our next webinar in the next few weeks about our rollout of Project Builder and Library. And if you're going to be attending Green Build, come find us there and say hello. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye. Have a great day.